Hi, we're speaking with Niagara Falls Mayor Jim Diodati about immigration to Canada from the frontline border perspective. And Jim, earlier we were speaking about how in the first Trump administration there was fear mongering, or I don't know, accurate concerns that refugees needed to flee America and go where? Go to Canada. And Justin Trudeau said, "Come on in," and then they did. And you talked about a lot of the fallout that different regions, particularly Niagara, had to deal with. Do you think this time will be different, or are you concerned it will be the same and we will see an influx of, for lack of a better term, almost open border arrivals to Canada?
I expect it to be exacerbated this time.
Hmm.
I think this time, President-elect Trump is not warming up. He's hitting the ground running. He's already sending messages to everybody. Prepare. This is what's about to happen, and I think it's going to happen. He's aligning everything. So we need to know there'll be Americans wanting to leave because they don't believe in the philosophy, and there's going to be the people that are leaving illegally in the U.S.
Right.
and they're going to see. We already know there's a disproportionate amount along the border right now in places like New York State. So we're preparing for what's happening, and the trend over the
People congregating to be close to the Canadian border
yeah
to flee.
to flee.
And these are, for lack of a better term, the Rosie O'Donnell celebrities, or you mean these are people who are illegal immigrants, maybe even with a checkered past, who are thinking of coming here?
Well, and that's the concern. A lot of them don't have pasts that
Yeah.
we're aware of. They've got rid of their passports. They get to start fresh. And we just don't know. And it's a way to circumvent our process. So they're either backlogging it or they're bypassing it. Either way, it creates a major problem for us. And we're concerned already, just over the last year, 19,000 people apprehended. And that's triple of last year, 18 times the year before. So the trend is obvious what's going on. The prime minister or the president-elect is well aware of what's happening, and he sent a message to the 11 million in the U.S. that won't work, and to Canada saying you can't have people coming our way either. He's letting us know. So the question is, what are we going to do about it?
One of the concerns that a lot of people have is that the president-elect has been pretty vocal that the main priority and the first priority will be people who have serious criminal records. He wants them deported from the United States. And are those the people who are going to be first in line to try and enter Canada legally? Because that's a little concerning. We just don't want people with that history coming into Canada, particularly unvetted by us.
Well, and that's the concern. 90% of illegal guns into Canada come south of the border.
Right.
And someone with a checkered past, we don't want them in Canada either. To me, we're looking for a certain kind of immigration that's going to help our country, help our economy. That's not what we need. People escaping because they're looking for a place to cause trouble. We don't want that. So, and again, it's going to take more resources, a lot of planning, a lot of proactive approach to how we're going to deal with it because we know it's coming.
Now, I'm not usually the guy to defend Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, but we have seen recently he said we're going to calm down the arrival of foreign students, temporary foreign workers, and generally bring down the immigration numbers. Do you think that attitude, and he's responding to headlines, frustrations that people have, you just can't afford rent, you can't buy a home, you can't move around in so many different jurisdictions now. Do you think that that attitude that he's bringing to those forms of immigration will come to him also being tougher on illegal border crossings?
Well, he has to be. And I'm glad that he's reacting to the reality that we've been talking about for the last few years. We're the boots on the ground. We see it firsthand. And, it's not been easy to reach out to some of the federal ministers. They don't always get back to you as quickly as you'd like them to give you answers. And we're your frontline people. We're the ones that are trying to communicate. And the key, it always comes down to communication. If we could have better two-way communication, we're going to have better solutions. And unfortunately, that hasn't always happened. I'm grateful that the Prime Minister is giving it serious attention. That's what we need to do.
Jim Diodati, you've always been a great pitchman for the Niagara region. During the eclipse that you experienced, you were an international celebrity. You're on like every media all around the world, boosting the region. In the minute we have left, can you give your pitch for the Niagara region to businesses, travelers, anyone looking to do trade? I mean, how are you selling the region from that big picture perspective?
Well, I think Niagara Falls is the perfect place, and we're having great discussions with the Premier about investments in Niagara Falls, taking advantage of some of our assets. So, number one, tourism is an obvious opportunity. Our airport, we own an airport. A lot of people say, you own an airport. We're looking at an investment there. We're the biggest population in Canada without regular daily scheduled flights. When we change that, there'll be 2 million people flying out of Buffalo that could fly out here. And as well, take advantage. We've got 4 border crossings. We've got canals. we've got rail, we've got the GO train to Niagara, we've got a great microclimate, amazing place to raise a family, great place to do business, and we're right on the border of the biggest economy in the world with great bilateral relations. I mean, I'm in regular contact with the mayors of Buffalo and Niagara Falls, New York, and Rochester, and many other mayors. We've got a great symbiotic relationship and great opportunities for business.
You're the center of the action for sure. Mayor Diodati, thanks very much for joining us here in studio. Great to see you.
Anthony, thanks for having me.
A great conversation on the priorities that Canada will have to be addressing, both from the national and the local level when it comes to the new Trump administration. I'm Anthony Furey. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Canadian Innovators.